Most deals don't die with a no. They just kind of fade. There are no objections, there's no real pushback, just slow replies, vague interest, and days, weeks, if not months of following up. If this sounds like a deal that you've been in, or maybe one that you're in right now, then you're going to want to watch this episode, because today I'm going to break down how to spot a dead or dying deal early before it wastes your time. My name is Brandon. Welcome to the Sales Armory, and let's jump in. In today's episode, I'm going to break down why this happens, 3 ways that you can spot dying or dead deals, and then a couple strategies that you can use to help qualify whether a deal is on its way out or something worth pursuing. There are various reasons why this happens. I think some of the most common have to do with us as sales reps, and then I'm going to offer one through the lens of a buyer. So us as sales reps, we're really trained and incentivized to chase interest. Think about getting that new hot lead. For a lot of salespeople, that's going to take priority or precedent over maybe a deal that you might have in the pipeline. It's new, it's exciting, it's fresh. You want to chase that, regardless of how interested they might be or how committed they might be. I think we as sales reps also tend to mistake politeness for progress. So just because they haven't said no, we might interpret that as them saying yes, which is not necessarily the right way to think about it. We're also not forcing clarity in that. If we're just assuming that we had a great meeting because they nodded their head, they said that they were interested, but we never forced commitment, we never asked clarifying questions, then of course that's really on us and our process. Through the lens of the buyer though, if you think about the person on the other side of that transaction, most people don't like confrontation. And so instead of telling a sales rep, no, I don't like this, or I'm no longer interested, or it's not a fit, it's been my experience that most people will just stop replying because then you never have to have that confrontation. And therein lies the problem. So now that we've identified a few reasons why deals die and why they slip away, I'm going to give you guys 3 signs that you might be in a dying or dead deal. All right, the first sign that you might have a problematic deal on your hands is if you have interest without commitment. Interest sounds like, yeah, that sounds good, whereas commitment sounds like, here's what's going to happen next. See the difference? So if you're getting phrases like, this is interesting, can you send me an email on that? Or let me take a look at this and I'll get back to you. Those are red flags. That might be interest, but that is not commitment. Whereas your green flags are phrases like, let's loop in whatever other stakeholder, maybe it's procurement, legal, some other department. Can you send me a proposal by Friday, by Monday? These have actionable next steps. We're looping in another department, we're setting a time frame. This is commitment. Remember, everyone is interested, but only serious buyers are willing to commit. The second way to spot a potentially problematic deal is if you have no internal champion. A deal without an internal champion doesn't just stall, it's gonna die. So here's how you spot it. If no one in the company is gonna introduce you to other departments or other stakeholders, that's a problem. If no one else in the business can articulate why they need your product or service, that's a problem. If no one else in the business can articulate why they need your product or service, that's a problem. And if all you're doing is educating and giving presentations, but never actually aligning for next steps or how this is going to be integrated into their business, that's a problem. Remember, if no one in the company can help you sell it internally, you'll never sell it externally. The last way to identify that you might have a problematic deal on your hands is if you're having meetings without momentum. And what I mean by that is if you're having meeting after meeting or call after call, but no next steps. So every meeting or call should be able to meet the next meeting test. As in, is there a clear next step from this meeting to the next one? In the last video, we went over the CAC Framework, create, advance, close. Subsequent meetings should be meeting the advanced stage of that criteria, and in that stage, you should be getting next steps out of every meeting. If you can't answer who, when, where, or what decision is coming from the meeting, you're wasting time. This is not advancing. Remember, having a busy calendar does not mean that you are making progress. Commitments and next steps do. We just went over a couple strategies on how to identify these problematic deals. And it's important to be able to identify and remedy them because there is a cost to letting them float around in your pipeline. We only have so much bandwidth as salespeople and as people in general. So if you have a bloated, inflated pipeline, it's going to be an emotional drain. You're going to feel like all of your deals are failing and that you're not going to be hitting quota and that you're behind because you've got a pipeline full of deals that aren't going to close in the first place. It's going to kill your ability to focus on real opportunities, and it's going to suck up your time to even generate new opportunities. So a smaller, honest pipeline is going to outperform a bloated one every time. So we went over how to identify problematic deals, the cost of those problematic deals, and now let's go over a couple strategies on how to either get a deal back on track or make sure you never end up there in the first place. So my first strategy is something I actually wish I got better at way earlier in my career, and that is forcing clarity without pressure. And the way you do it is by asking permission-based clarifying questions. And so a few examples of those sound like, can I be direct for a second? What would need to happen for this to move forward? Is this a priority now? And if not, when will it be? And asking these questions, even though they're a little direct and it might be awkward at first, can save you a lot of time and heartache. Because this is really going to yield you the clarity that you need to understand where this deal falls or should fall in your priority list. And that clarity is always better than just being optimistic about it. The last tip that I have for you guys is understanding that walking away is a skill. Walking away from a deal isn't necessarily quitting, but rather qualifying that deal. See, every strong rep that I've ever known understands that they have to protect their time, and they're not afraid of being told no or saying no to a deal. Sometimes the most professional move is to close the door yourself. It means that you get to walk away from that deal on your terms. And think about it like this. If you expend your emotional energy and your time, more importantly, on bad deals, well, that is time and energy you could be giving to deals that actually stand a chance of closing or generating new opportunities for deals that will actually close. All right, guys, this has been fun. And before we wrap up, remember, deals die from interest without intent, no internal champion, and no forward commitments. Sales is not about chasing every opportunity. It's about pursuing the right opportunities. So if you want to think, act, and close like a seasoned seller, then subscribe to the Sales Armory, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.